You're looking to be more creative and innovative? And one of the keys to unlocking your potential is an entrepreneurial mindset. I like to say permission granted. No one is successful overnight.
Keep on keeping on.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are at in the world, and welcome to day 23 of 31 days to PADITU, Put a Dent in the Universe with me, Sean Griffin. You know, they say that my 18-month-old son, by the time he gets to 18, he'll know more than I know at that age, which at that point I'll be 70-something, so I don't know if I really want to think about that, but that's a miraculous notion that my 18-month-old son will know more than I know when he's 18 years old. And this leads me to the notion, and I want to share something with you that I learned from the head physicist of Lockheed, Mike Munn. And we used to do workshops together at Lockheed Martin when he was the head physicist, quality function deployments work and total quality management work. But one of his favorite sayings was, "You know more than you know you know." And I think this is an important notion right now because we keep getting questions and comments and insights that come into our WhatsApp, and you can WhatsApp us anytime, 202-642-7089. But what we continually see is apprehension, people being held back from moving forward. And what I want you to know is you know more than you know you know. And how do I know this? Well, we all have been collecting lots of knowledge, lots of information, just going through our lives. And even today, more so than ever with the internet and Uncle Google's there, anytime we want to go for a search and identify an answer to any question we may have. You know more than you know you know. And you have to have confidence in that. You want to learn to live in that I know more than I realize I know I know. Now, how can you prove this to yourself? Let's say what I want you to do is this exercise. You're going to give a speech. You've got 5 minutes to prepare for this speech. I want you to give a speech on Egypt, the great country of Egypt, the seat of all civilization. I'll bet you in 5 minutes, you could probably come up with a pretty good speech if you start writing down those different things you know about the pyramids, the Sphinx, the Nile River, their agriculture, their history, petroglyphs. All of a sudden you start realizing, wow, I know more than I know I know. And that's important to believe in yourself. There's another way you can do this. Let's say you're going to give a speech on the ocean. Yeah, the ocean. So all of a sudden, you love sharks. You can talk about sharks, how important sharks are. Shark fin soup is not good for sharks, and they're disappearing. What's happening right now when nobody's really traveling around or in the ocean? The sharks are changing their migration patterns, probably back to what it was before. You know more than you know you know. You can give a speech on the ocean, on subjects that you understand about the ocean. This is such a critical notion to believe and understand to help you gain more confidence, particularly as it relates to going out there, moving forward, following your dreams, and making your dreams come true. Reality. It's not just action. It's not just timelines. It's not just visualizing everything like I do. It's also a mindset. And I believe in my heart of hearts, I can do anything. And that I know more than I know I know. And I know you know more than you know you know. Just like my 18-month-old son, he's going to know a lot more than I'm going to know when he's 18. Thank you. And Amy, who's our first guest? Mustanzer.
Hi, Sean. How are you doing?
A lot. I'm doing fabulous, man. It wasn't that long ago. You were sitting out here on the patio, and we were enjoying some lovely food from my wife.
Absolutely. That was a brilliant time. Time is changing so fast. And your son was just born, and now he's 18 months old. I just heard.
Can you believe it? 18 months. My goodness, I know. And he keeps track of time for me. Like, I know that time is moving, and He's just changed my entire perspective on the world. I know nothing. Everything's brand new.
Yeah. The starting, I was just listening to what you were saying about you know more than you know. And I remember you being fascinated with the growth of your little child and your inspiration to learn more and be inspired just by the fact that nature is just so beautiful. I wanted to have a baby right then.
Here's my advice for Sansa and anybody else who's listening out there: wait as long as you possibly can. Everything changes. Everything fundamentally shifts. I had no clue. None. Zero.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to focus because there's also, you feel love that you never knew existed on the planet. I'm feeling it now. It's like dopamine rushes. Man, just go hang out with Zane. Okay, let's get focused here. Sansa, you are starting a business in Pakistan, and yet you got stuck in Oslo. Is this COVID-19 related?
So it's not exactly being stuck here. It's more than I wanted to be back. I've been a sort of a geographically traveling all over the world, kind of a nomad.
I would call you a modern day nomad.
Yeah, but I wanted to be here. It's a beautiful country. Actually, it's a good place to start our discussion as well. You see, I was here about 6-7 years ago, and I thought it's a bubble and it's going to burst. And I went to this idea to Pakistan and Asia. I wanted to create this startup that we can talk about later. Empower people, bring them to internet and empowering them to get better jobs. And I wanted to bring something from here and take it back and do it. And I was sure this bubble eventually is going to burst. Over the years, and Sean, you travel so much more than I do. When you move from such a, let's say, much more settled country, emerging region, the priority of life changes from smart cities to taking care of the environment. The focus comes back to providing food, water, how do people drink clean water. So the challenges are different. But now this bubble thing, I've come back and I've realized the bubble doesn't need to burst. What we really need to do is increase the size of the bubble so more people can live a quality life. I think that's where we should start.
I like this. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to move. So I'm going to, you're talking about an abundance mentality, mentality. Oh,
yeah.
Hold on one second. I'm going to write down. So how do you think more abundantly? Because the difference is scarcity on one side, abundance on the other. Sorry. Abundance on the other side, right? And you have abundant. You're just naturally abundant in your thinking. Scarcity doesn't sink in, or it does, not maybe, but you push it away. How do you keep an abundant mentality, and how do you think about this bubble growing? Talk to us about this.
Okay. I think I can start with my most favorite design principle: less is more. And you actually do not need so much to be happy. And when I started traveling initially, I was like, you needed money to be everywhere. And very quickly I realized you don't. You just have to be willing to take risks. Love the unknown. I think that's it. If you can love the unknown, adore what you have not seen before, that could be such a powerful navigator for your life. I was a simple student back home doing IT, but I knew I had to learn more. I just took that first step, and the world unraveled itself to me. I ended up in institutes like MIT, Polytechnico. I traveled, and I never had money. I still don't. but less is more.
You live an abundant life, and this is important. And your experiences are rich and deep and broad.
Yeah.
You never come across as somebody who's lacking in it ever, or somebody who is challenged in any way or upset by where you're at. So what is it about you that's comfortable with where you're at right now?
Yeah, I think I take comfort, and it makes me satisfied knowing that you have traveled so much. So travel, I believe, is one of the best teachers that is out there. It teaches you and it changes you. So if you have, just by being in a certain place, a university, an organization, you come to that level very quickly. So if you have stayed in a place for a little while, then you have learned something. As you started with the unconscious mind, even you don't know you have learned that, but you have.
Yeah.
By being around top-notch researchers at MIT, eventually you get there. It can take you longer, but once you're there, you become one of them. So I think knowing that you have learned so much, so many experiences, you have to be happy. You have to be willing to share the knowledge that you have acquired. That has been really my, I guess, one of the motivations of going back and traveling so much, that I like to share everything I have learned. I want to share my experiences, to share the, make the world a better place slowly, just by one little thing at a time. I think that's.
There's two things in here that I see with Stanzer, and one is you how so there's the one is how you're fearless, right? You don't have any fear when you travel solo, you go to places that you've never been before, and you're solo, right? So that's one. So overcoming fear, and we've had numerous conversations, but then the second one is that you talked about, like, your ability to go in and do things, but even like doing it afraid has come up, or being comfortable getting uncomfortable. These are common themes that we're seeing within these conversations we've had. We're almost at the 60 guests now, kind of incredible. But there's common themes, and you're touching on them. Getting comfortable, being comfortable, or getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, and then doing it afraid, or doing things even though you might be nervous or uncomfortable, but still going forward and doing them.
Yeah.
Talk to us. What is it that helps you be comfortable being uncomfortable?
That's a very interesting question.
It's in your mind. So it's a mindset thing. In your mind, you are able to do things afraid, and you're able to do things and take action and travel to places and meet people and get in environments that maybe other people wouldn't, because you're willing to be in an uncomfortable situation. So you're comfortable being uncomfortable. How does that work?
I think it goes back to when I was doing my undergrad degree. We had this professor, Dr. Jafar Rahman. He passed away, unfortunately, in an earthquake. And I learned something from him. He said, I stay in a place as long as I continue to learn. So he would join, and we saw him. He would come back to the school and then go away for 6 months. He would go with an idea of learning. I think I really took that. The seed just never settled. And I didn't know that quote then, but I've lived that. So I know when I am going places, there is going to be new learning. There are going to be new challenges. If there are no challenges, then what's the purpose of life? So I know that this hard work and hardships and things you do, get committed into them, they will take you places. And knowing what we know, I think the idea has to be, how can you contribute, make one person's life slightly better, right? So what does it take? You just have to be brave enough to take that first step. So I think that's more or less what I've been doing. I think I get, I get uncomfortable, but it's too comfortable.
I'm the same way. If it's too comfortable, I get uncomfortable, because I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm getting stagnant. I'm sitting still. Something's not right. It's too comfortable. So it can go the other way too. It can go so extreme, which it has with me, where anytime I was like, something's not right, and I'd be sitting there and I'm like, wow, everything's going perfectly fine. This is not okay. What's wrong?
Yeah. And actually, that was the thing I wanted to talk to you about as well. It's aspiration to grow, be more. Something which worked very well initially in the American society, in my view. I don't know if you lost me in the middle.
A little bit,
but
just a wee bit.
Yeah, it started raining heavily. Like if you see the light shift,
I can hear it in the background.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Uh,
Better than snow.
yeah. So yeah. Wow. I was just looking out, and it was nice and sunny. And all of a sudden, I'm turning to this, very light. And I have no light, so let me just turn the light on quickly.
Sure, whatever.
Just a second.
As you wish. It's life, man. We're unscripted on 31 Days of PADITU. No script.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there, especially when you see, this is the beauty of the unknown. You let it come to you, and you do the best of given the circumstances that unravel themselves to you. Right? There are things you can control in life. There you cannot control in life. But I believe, yeah, you have to have a vision to reach the moonshot kind of visions, right? You want to be out there, you want to get somewhere, but you can't. What you can do is take decisions based on what is available right now. I think it's one decision at a time that gets the job done. And
that goes with one step at a time, right? There's no shortcuts. There's no leapfrogging.
Oh God.
Every once in a while, there might be a leapfrog situation like we're in now, which like maybe we've advanced 10, 15, 20 years in a few months, but those are rare.
Yeah. I mean, we had been talking about digitization and work from home and have better internet and co-working for more or less 10 years now.
Yeah.
And it was hard to sell. People wouldn't see it, how it could work. And all of a sudden, the world has changed.
Totally.
Yeah. In fact, there's this beautiful what can be automated after this time will be automated. So we are going to see even more transformations. Yeah. I mean, seeing this, it brings, you see, that's why that my news between what I want to do and what I don't want to do. It's between aspiration to be able to survive beyond this planet, for example, and then doing enough so that people living on the planet can live a happy life, because that's all we know today. So I think it's very important to take both things in parallel. Like, you do want to get to outside, you want to get into space. I think you do build potentially ships of some sort that can hold life for, like 10, 20, 30 years for a few thousand people. And then you want to get to Mars, you want to do all these futuristic things, But then in parallel, you also want to make life better for average person, an average human being on Earth. So yeah, I think it's all about balance, being content with.
There's clearly an opportunity right now to reimagine. I was talking about yesterday, design your life, design a better future. Right now is really that time. I know you're very much in design thinking and systems work, and it seems to me we're going to have a guest on here, Gordon Rudo, and he's pulling together an event called Better by Design, which is going to have 1,000 top CEOs in this conference, and they're going to be talking about what they can do with the current world. Part of the challenge with that, and hopefully discussion will be around how we can be more collaborative and how we can make the world more equitable place for everyone. And I think that there's some movement in that area with corporations realizing they have some responsibility, or that they can make a difference, and that part of their it's not just shareholders, it's stakeholders. The communities they're in and they're working from, and they're gaining access to the materials or whatever it is. What are your thoughts on this?
So I think it has always been triple bottom line for me. So it's people, planet, profit. And anything that started without profit was not going to sustain anyway. What you do, if it is not good for the people, it's not going to sell. In the end, these are the people who are going to be your users or be financiers. And then on the long run, if it's harmful for the planet, then it still doesn't work. It's not profitable for the very business entity that you made. I think every business here on has to focus on triple bottom line, and not just for the sake of saying we are CSR compliant, making true policies. I think this is another challenge which has to change in the post-COVID era. You see a lot of big corporates that have been talking about digitization and adoption of certain policies, but it doesn't happen. Let's say, the board says, yes, this is our strategy. These are the 3 Ps we have to work on this. But actually the manager, or, the guy who actually does it, it doesn't fall into his success report, right? He doesn't get it. His reporting is based on something different.
Right.
So he doesn't.
The bottom line.
Yeah. So a lot of things are going to change. I mean, look, this it's called the Great Reset as well. And I think rightly so. I mean, millions of jobs have been lost around the world, 67 million in US alone. I mean, so what do? It's a great opportunity. I mean, humans, in my view, were never made to just pick up trash. Please excuse my language, but we can do better things. We can think. We have the ability to be more, to create, to be visionaries. So these tasks that can be automated shouldn't be scary for people. This has to happen. I think which country, I forget which country was this, right? Like a basic income for everyone. I think I really like that idea as well. There should be a basic universal income for citizens.
It sure would make a difference on the planet, and there's definitely enough money out there. It's just a matter of changing mindsets, right? Changing the way people think. Let me ask you a question, Sanjay. These are all just very thought-provoking ideas, and we definitely are in a time where, and part of the reason for 31 Days to PADITU when we first conceived of this was to really help people understand who's putting a dent in the universe. Clearly, part of your work every day is putting a dent in the universe. But like everybody, you get stuck, right? There's times where you're unhappy. I mean, recently I was mildly depressed for a period of time, a couple of years almost, actually, because I wasn't learning. I got stagnant, I think, is what happened, and wasn't being challenged in the way that I needed to be challenged. And so, and I was stuck. I literally wasn't sure what to do, and I was experimenting, doing micro experiments, starting all these businesses. We talked about some of it. What do you do when you're stuck to get unstuck, Sanjay?
Yeah. There is this beautiful picture floating on internet for a couple of years now. There's this orange, and someone has carved it in a way, and it seems like the orange is holding itself. I think when, anyone saying they never get depressed or it's pressure doesn't get to you, it's a big lie. Right. I think
you roll your eyes just like you did.
Yeah. I mean, so when nothing seems to be working, that's about connecting the dots backwards, right? You're put in this place, there is a reason. There would be. You would learn something new. You just have to perseverance is one word, I think, for entrepreneurship. I mean, if you believe in what you're doing, it may take 1 year to 25. I mean, it can take the time it will take. Sometimes you're early, sometimes you're late, sometimes you just don't have the financial capital. It doesn't mean what you want to do is wrong.
Right.
It just pays for you, but it's just not maybe the right market fit, or you don't have the right team. There could be a million reasons, and we talk about these to entrepreneurs all over the world, but the very thought of why you started doing this, what impact you think it's going to create, I think that's what keeps me going. And I know it can be difficult. I mean, it has been difficult. We twice were about to close really nice big rounds, and it didn't happen. I mean, after handshakes and to make a certain deal, I traveled the world to meet them and all that, and the deal didn't close. That's not good. But what do? Give up? No, I think you just have to believe in the purpose of why you're doing that. So talk to people. I think it's a very regional thing. Different people from different backgrounds. Like if you ask people in South Asia, I wouldn't say just Pakistan, generally South Asia, how are you doing? They'll say, doing good, thank you. In reality, it's not true at all. But I think if you ask maybe people from Germany, like some of the friends I have, you ask them, hey, how are you doing? They're like, not so good. It's not an answer I'm doing every day. I mean, if there's something wrong, they would say it, right? So you have to be this idea of openness, right? We talk about openness of data today, right? How important it is to have open data. If companies like, social media companies, Facebook, etc., can make money off your data, then you should be able to make money off your data too. And now it's happening.
Right.
We may make $1 or $2 in like 6 months, but it will get there. So yeah, just hold on. I mean, you got to hold on to something. You got to have a North Star, right? You just keep moving.
Right. Yep.
Eventually,
yeah, you got to keep at it, and those times when money falls through, I have a saying: it's not closed until the money's in the bank. If the money's not in the bank, doesn't.
Oh, my friend, I learned the hard way.
yeah. Money's got to be in the bank, and you got to close those immediately. Like get them signed and get it, and then get somebody to transfer those cash because everything can change.
I mean, look what is happening right now. I have met a lot more very interesting people in Europe because my startup. I'm very, especially right now, we saw 130% increase in the number of signups we were getting without any advertisement whatsoever. It's simple. People just don't have jobs. They are scared. So I felt it is about time to shift the focus a little bit to more of a secure gig economy. Gig, especially, is a word that is not loved much in Norway. Then they don't like it. And I've seen people even working on future jobs, being, let's say, of age 60 plus or so, or even in the 50s, they don't quite connect to the word gig as a young person does.
Right.
So how would it ever change, right? So it's important to create a system that gives you this, not false, but a way of seeing this as a whole, right? What Uber, for example, or Kareem does for their drivers. They say you perform well and you get more jobs, and high ratings means more bonuses. It's kind of adding a security, linking it with just your job, right? So that's where I really want to transit now. It's tough time because basically there's no capital floating around. People who had made investments, it's you talk to them, they're like, oh well, our shares, they lost value by 90%. Okay. I don't think it's a good idea to ask them to liquidate that right now. But I think right now is a great time to just restart, I think, what we did in the next 10 years. I think that's very, look, education is changing, Sean.
Everything.
And yeah, I mean, even though people say universities have a much lower role to play, I absolutely disagree with that. Whenever I hear people who have not been in, let's say, higher education, postdoc, etc., or doctorate level or masters even, and they talk about how not important all that education is, it's just not true. All the research and all the innovation you see in the world today, much of it comes from that sponsored money that came from the European Union or some kind of funding agency. That they play an important part. I think what does need to change is the primary education. Sorry, I'm all over the place today, but it's just,
my time is also up. But I hear what you're saying, and one of the things that is a truth right now is that most of our systems are in crisis, whether that's the education system, healthcare system, economic systems. All the systems are like and they were in crisis before, but now you can see it, you understand it. And so, again, there's just tremendous opportunity right now for great and positive change, but there's also equally a possibility of negative and lasting not good change. And so, for everyone, and so may more people step up and PADITU, put it in the universe for the betterment of the world. Lustanzer, we'll have you back again. We're not sure what we're doing after 31 days, but we're going to do something. We'll have you back. And
before I go, I had a question for you.
Oh, you have a question? Sure.
Yeah, I have one question for you. So as a traveler and constant learner, I've also been through something. So I want to ask you, like, your aspiration to grow and settle, right? There is a mix.
What?
Your aspirations to grow and learn more, be more, do more, and settling. How do you see the two? where do you stop?
So the question,
How to set-
the question is, how do I balance my tremendous aspirations with wanting to settle down and be more settled?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. I don't know. I'm learning. I'm learning. You know, I ran so hard for so long, multiple times. So when the previous episode I talked about cycles of life, and I believe, and I've experienced at least in my 53 years on this planet, this time around, if there's other times, that life works in cycles of 7 to 10 years. And so within that structure, I believe 2 months ago, a new cycle started for me, which will be a 7 to 10 year cycle. So I'm now, what you didn't see, I had another mural up here just before I had to take it down. Thank you, Amy, for directing me. That had a 10-year goal setting strategy on it for me, which was you. And so I think as you go through life and you get older, you want to pay attention to those cycles, because those cycles are triggers then to start planning and projecting out longer term. What I do now that's very different than anything I've ever done before, I think about family, right? Like I have a family, and I didn't know what that meant whatsoever. You know, for 4 years, 5 years, I literally was traveling 330 days a year on the road, going to every single country you could imagine, and helping people build businesses, right? And so that was as extreme as you can get, and that burnout that led to tremendous burnout, where I basically wanted to not do anything. I wanted to quit. I just ran out. Couldn't give any more. And so I don't want to do that again. And so, you know, there's a story that keeps coming up on the internet or on Facebook every once in a while, you know, about depression, entrepreneurs and depression. And I'm that guy. I've been there. You know, I tried to kill myself when I was younger. I literally tried to kill myself. And then I learned this method: wait 5 minutes, everything can change. And it works for fundraising as well. Wait 5 minutes, all of a sudden you got $500,000 in the bank. You got to wait 5 minutes. And so for me, I'm learning how to not always work, because I think that's what I knew. Just work 20 plus hours a day. I mean, I'd go 48 hours until I was, you know, some days. And I know you have as well. As I've gotten older and as I've got a family, I've learned that I've got to create a separation of time, and creating more schedules. My aspirations and my drive and determination have not changed at all, with Sandra. They're still, it's just part of, I want to change the world. That's one of my goals, and make a whole lot of money in the process. And so I believe there's a way to do that. I don't know what that way is right now, but I am learning, and I am more intentional about, like, when we're done here today, we're going to go do family time, and we're going to go get some things done. And so it's being more intentional and prioritizing, and then not getting into a pattern where it's just work, because that's where I've gotten. I'm totally unaware. Like I can remember one time I was in Cambodia. It was 1 a.m. It's a 12-hour time difference. So, you know, in the United States and New York, things were just getting going. It's you know, things cranking. And so all of a sudden I'm starting my second round of work. And so I've worked all day, literally, had dinner, come back. I'm now sitting in my hotel room, back to work. Dahlia, I'll say it, who you know, I'm just like, my brain's not working, and I'm all confused, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And she's like, when was the last time you took 1 day off? When did you take 1 day where you didn't do anything? You didn't do anything 1 day. I'm like, I don't know. Come on, we got to get this done. What are you talking about? She's like, when was the last time? She wouldn't stop. When was the last time you took a day off? I'm like, I don't know, Dahlia, but this needs to get done. Can we focus on what we're doing right now? John, I'm really concerned because, you know, when was the last time you had a day off? And I'm like, I don't know, Dahlia. She's like, would you work with me? Let's figure it out. We figured out it was 97 days. 97 days.
Oh my gosh.
And we're talking about 18, 20-hour days where there was no time. And traveling in airports and travel and planes do not count as days off. And so that was probably the first time in my life where I realized, whoa, you were working too hard. And the hard part with that is that when I went, and so I was in Cambodia and Phnom Penh, I just flew quickly to Angkor Wat and spent like 3 or 4 days in Angkor Wat, pretty much meditating. And there's one of the pictures in the opening segment here of me in Angkor Wat there meditating, and that helped. But guess what? I couldn't slow down. So I was there. I literally am like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then I'm like, I can't sit. I got to work. And you know, the third day, the day I'm going to leave, I kind of started slowing down. So you can't just go 500 miles an hour and just stop and go, okay, I got a day off. I'm going to go relax and chill my brain out, you know, when you're running that fast. And so for entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs out there, you got to really watch this. But I do believe that I'm more settled, but that doesn't mean that my settled doesn't mean I move somewhere else or I go somewhere else. My settlement is more, I'm more comfortable and I had a coach help me through this. I had to hire my own coach because I just needed help. And I've learned to create shrines and do certain things. And I do daily meditations now for 7 minutes. And there's serious things I'm doing now and I'm exercising every day, some level of exercise. It's not my favorite thing to do, but you know, do it. And that has helped me. I've also quit drinking alcohol. So I stopped drinking alcohol, and you know, that's been a huge, pretty much. I mean, every once in a while I might have a glass of something if there's a celebration, but I mean, otherwise, no alcohol. That has been a huge help to me in terms of just reconfiguring my life. Another massive change, like a child, right? You know, I've been drinking a lot for a lot of years, and so that's also calmed me down a lot, and I think has helped me center and helped me allows me to do what we're doing now with the show. I think would have been much more difficult in my previous life because I probably would have, you know, had like breakfast wine in here. Now it's ginger tea with honey. So that's what I say. I say you learn as you go, but you want to intentionally start planning and focusing on how do I slow myself down, because it's too easy to get wrapped up, and what you're doing can just sweep you away, and all of a sudden you're going. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I also have another saying: make hay when the sun shines. When the sun shines, you gotta run. So cycles don't last. So when you're running, I don't believe it's forever. In my life, I know that at some point you stop, and all of a sudden you're forced to rest. So it's this balance of go, slow down. But now what I do is in the moment, I'm more present and I'm more aware, and I can tell when I'm going too far or I'm working too hard or too long, because there's stress in my brain as well. And so it's a lifelong process is about what I can say about this, but what you want to do is slow it down. There's another saying I have, and I believe it very strongly: you got to go slow to go fast. And sometimes people forget that going slow will get you there faster than going fast, because you're wasting time and you're not thinking straight and you're making mistakes along the way, versus a methodical process where you're going slow. It may take a little longer, but in the end, it doesn't. It goes actually faster, because once it links in, all of a sudden it goes, and now you know what you're doing. And so this is hard for people, particularly entrepreneurs, because you want it now, and I do too. I want it now. How come we're not broadcasting on LinkedIn now? Well, what I can do about this, right? We just got to go slow, and it's just a process. And all of a sudden, one day we'll be broadcasting on LinkedIn, and I'll be like, okay, that's a great thing. Now, are we broadcasting on Twitter? You see, it's never end.
Yeah.
And so just slow to go fast is really what I recommend. We're going to have to leave. We got somebody else on here who needs some help.
Okay.
I don't want to forget them. It's Seema. It's Seema's on the line. Stay on because we got Seema next. And there she is. Hi, Seema.
Hi.
How you doing? Say hi to Miss.
Good. We're both good.
Wow. Hi, Seema. Oh my God. Look at this little one.
Wow.
Wow.
21 days past due. Hi, Zane. Hi.
All right.
Oh.
That's good.
One of a kind.
Wow. Okay, he has grown.
He keeps
Incredible.
growing, Mustanzer. It's kind of amazing. Thank you for being here.
When the world reopens, I should come to DC again.
You will. And
you guys
we'll be back in Pakistan again one day. And Norway, maybe. If we're there.
You be good, Sean. Really nice talking to you.
Thank
And,
you. Thanks for that question. It's an important one.
Absolute pleasure. I have so many more, but another day.
Mama.
Bye-bye.
Mama.
Ooh. Well, hey, Seema.
Hi, folks.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm not sure how well this will work with your little one here. But
Our little
I
one.
thought the audience needed to meet Zane.
Zane, it's a world premiere of Zane Patel Griffin right there. Hey, buddy. Yeah, you're looking good. Oh, man,
Your
that's so
father's
cute.
laugh right there.
I know last time we were here on 31 Days to PADITU, we had some really great conversations that went off track from business, and we're still relevant in terms of women reaching the position of CEO like yourself, but also balancing the feminine and masculine sides. But you had questions, and I thought maybe today we'll get to those questions. So you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to get a little bit into what current situation at Global Knowledge Initiative, which is the nonprofit consulting organization that I work with. I lead. I'm the CEO of GKI, and we've been working in helping people solve complex challenges using collaborative design, really thinking about systems change, and bringing different stakeholders together to solve problems together. And I think this is a great moment to get some new thinking and new ideas from you on how we move forward. What I've been reflecting on, and our team has actually been, let's get this guy up here. Say hi, Daddy. Okay. Our team has been really experimenting with new ways to break down our services. We usually deliver through projects and consulting assignments. But what I want to do is be able to bring these tools of collaboration, helping people facilitate partnerships, in ways that are accessible and easy and that they need right now. And that means reimagining our services from consulting contracts and project contracts to much more agile delivery, whether it's coaching, training, offering up quick ways to help organizations and teams think differently about how they collaborate in this post-COVID, environment and world, and how they can work together to design solutions that create more healthy systems as we, build back. How do we build back better? So I thought I'd get your ideas.
Mm-hmm. So within your structure, within what you're doing, you have lots of pre-designed tools that you're already using, right? Particularly within systems change, organizational change, you have lots of like pre-designed tools, right?
We do. We have lots of tools and methodology.
How many?
Probably about 120 different ones that we use actively. But the challenge is learning new practices and new ways to solve challenges, to run teams. It's not the tool, it's the application and the learning that goes along with it. And what we're finding is organizations and teams and leaders that really want to find new ways of working with their constituents, they need that sort of ongoing accompaniment and learning mentors. So as they are experiencing challenges applying the tools of mapping the dynamics of the systems, developing strategies within them, finding different types of partnerships and collaborations, they have someone alongside, you know what I mean? Really supporting their learning and the processes that they need to institute. And that's the kind of relationship I think that leads to real value and change in the way we do social change work.
So I think it's a prime time to reinvent. And so Mustanzer was talking about this, and then Amy, who's on this, and maybe we'll pull her in a minute because she might have some advice as well. I'm sure she does, in fact. That you want to move to a more automated approach to what you're doing. And so what this looks like, and I'm just brainstorming here, what this looks like in my mind as we're going forward is taking those tools. You're taking like your top 10 tools, the ones that are the foundational tools, top 10, start with one, and automate it. What that means is developing a series of videos with the tool, whatever the tool is. You know, I have Viz tools, and we're going to be unveiling those again, reintroducing those again at some point here. But you can add artificial intelligence to those tools. So words that are inputted into those tools will create automatic responses. Also creating videos for tutorials, so short videos for each section of a tool that would allow people to understand how to use that tool. Would help. And so the automation makes it so they're not having to engage with you at all. It's all they buy they pay a membership or they pay a fee for that tool. They use that tool online because people want to do it on their own schedule as well. So, you know, like we're live here at 9:30 to 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's it. But guess what? It's recorded, and we have lots of people watching those recordings, way more than are watching live. So, so it's not. So it's about convenience and the ability for those people to learn as they want. But I would cover those 10 tools and have it completely automated. Nobody needs you to do it. You're the video. You're the one in the video. Whoever you don't have a video.
Sorry. You know this well.
It's hard for me to focus too because I'm like, cute. So that's one thing. And then having upsells. So you'd be upselling from there, because they're going to need help and support, as you said. So it's not about, oh, we're automating it. They're going to need help and support. They know they're going to learn that they need help and support, and that's the upsell opportunity to gain more access to you. You can also impact more people by doing this because it scales larger.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is so limited within the international development space, which is relatively small relative to the world.
The tools are relevant to any organization working in a complex challenge or trying to solve a complex system or trying to collaborate. I mean, the basic foundation is how do we work better together to solve problems? And that's what the tools are really designed to do. And we've applied them to universities, government, you know, corporations, nonprofit, social enterprises. And so they've been applied with great diversity with lots of organizations. I think what you're saying that's really helpful is we don't want to lose the relationship. Because
and you won't lose the relationship. In fact, it'll strengthen the relationship because now they've got the tools at their own time that they can access and review. It could, you know, like you and I do at 11 or 12 at night. We're watching different things or we're learning from something that we have there. This is the same thing. So it's convenience. You're providing the convenience for people to learn on their own schedule. It's automated so they can do it on their own. Of course, what's going to happen is it's a complex process, and so they're going to need some support. Who are they going to contact? They're going to contact you guys. And so this can be this. I would take it out of international development and make it more about solving complex problems, systems change within dynamic environments, and generalize it because this is for corporations, nonprofits, or governments, right? And so that way,
we don't just work in international development. We work across lots of different stakeholder groups, and I think that's right. Is that, you know, making sure that visibility is there and that it's practical for people to take on these and find these tools and use them and learn them on their own is really powerful. I've been exploring an idea around creating kind of a help desk service as well, because I think what happens is you see these things, you will learn them, you might experiment with them, but a question comes up and it's in real time and it's in the moment. You know, I've just run a collaboration with public-private partnership, and we got stuck because there was some conflict that we couldn't resolve, or we realized that all the stakeholders were not on the same page in terms of understanding the challenge and the dynamics of the challenge, or we haven't created an inclusive enough environment. And there's key critical voices that are missing from the conversation to design a solution that's most relevant to the communities we wish to serve. And all of those moments are times where I'd like us to show up as you know, advisors, as coaches, as trusted partners to be able to help people get unstuck.
This is kind of like a membership model. Then again, when they'd automatically become members by buying the modules that you'd have, I could see them. I'm imagining them there, and they click on whichever they want. All the videos, it's all packaged, it's all automated. They don't even need you at all. But as part of that, they automatically get a membership, and they can text at any time or reach out, text, I'd say probably is the quickest. One number, just like we got our number here. It's the one number every day. We're looking at that number. It's text. That way, the people can say, I've got a challenge, and you're able to respond quickly to that. I had another idea that I think could be really spectacular for you, because you work with some of the smartest people on the planet, period. Like they're just like really smart, and they're tackling some of the biggest challenges we face on the planet. And so what if you created an intentional video archive of these experts where they came in and you just did little interviews, and that you would have this archive in there on different subjects. You'd have to define the subjects that you want those to be within the transformation that you're looking at. And then you've got all these subject experts archived in videos, short, quick videos, nothing long, right? But that in itself would be hugely valuable, also tremendously powerful for promotion on social media.
Yeah, and people want to hear from those voices.
Particularly some of the older folks who are, you know, some of the people who might not be around in 10 years, capturing their knowledge. I wish I would have done this with a number of people. I mentioned Mike Munn today, who was the head physicist, couldn't, he's not what, just like, what are you going to do? So capturing those and putting some kind of strategy into that around subjects and capturing those videos and having that part of this area creates additional value. Also positions you as the thought leader with this network of thought leaders. I think, and again, so it's automation, capturing these videos of leaders, thought leaders before, their time passes, and young ones up and coming as well, new thinking. And then I personally would look at doing something like what you're seeing here on this, where you're actually bringing people in and doing kind of a similar type of situation where you've got a special guest like yourself, and maybe you have integrated some kind of coaching component into this because of, your experience is so diverse and vast. You could technically answer probably any question, or like myself, if I don't have the answer or a solution, I know somebody who can go get it. So I'm never without a solution, right? You are the same.
Yeah, all of those are fabulous ideas. And I think, we have these long-term engagements, but I'm very, through projects, 5-6 years where we're working to, reimagine the health system in Malawi, or rethink the way economic opportunity is available to young people. But those take so long to come to fruition, and they're really sort of bulky ways. And I think all ideas you've created are like offered here are exactly what I'm looking for. Is like, how do we take what we've got, the value we've got, and get it out there so that it can be delivered to people that need it, that feels much more individual, personal, practical, and that it's, just a different type of business model and revenue model that we're opening up
it's unlimited, right? It's an unlimited model because now you're accessing everybody, and everybody has access to what you have and your specialized knowledge. And so it's rising above, right? And it means that you're more, it's not as targeted and specific in terms of what you're doing when you're putting it out there like this. It's more targeting people, anybody who's got a complex problem, anybody who's got a complex environment, anybody who's looking for ways to solve big challenges. They go to you as a resource for that. That's compelling, and it just means that it opens up your audience much larger and creates a unlimited revenue potential.
So here's the transition. Moving a team. I've got 10 people on my team right now, countless other partners that we work with, and they're very focused on the work that we've got, and everyone's kind of working double time right now. It's pretty incredible.
So you're stretched. Everyone's stretched.
Everyone's stretched, and it is a transition because it takes time to go, like to your point of go slow to go fast. We want to go back and really make sure that the experience of the videos, the tools, the coaching, all of that is really thoughtfully designed for delivery at that individual or team level in a way that's gonna really resonate. How do I transition? How do you manage transition in organizations so that you can unlock the kind of creative space that's needed for teams to redesign the products, redesign the services, rethink their audience, and do the marketing that's needed behind it. What suggestions do you have?
Okay. So my thinking on this is that you don't want to disrupt those people who are busy doing what they're doing. So those people need to stay focused. So that's number one. So they're developing revenue, they're fulfilling contracts and obligations for work that you've been able to secure. Don't distract them. They're already stretched. They're already to their limits in a lot of ways. Two, they probably don't know how to turn that into an automated system because it's a completely different process and thinking. And my brain's being tweaked constantly daily in terms of this process. So I have to let go constantly every day in this process. So if I got into the mix, then it won't work as well because I don't know what I'm talking about and I don't know how to automate. So, and that's okay because I know people who know how to automate and you do too. And so I would pull together a different team. And those people who are your most specialists, like yourself and maybe one other, so it's a small team, that they're focused on the methodology is the most important thing. How do you translate that methodology into automated systems? So your automated person needs to have the ability to sit with you, understand your methodology, and say, okay, here's how we can automate that. Because then let them do it, and they're doing it independent and separate from the other work you're doing. Otherwise, it's not gonna. You won't get anywhere really fast because
That's right.
your people who are currently doing what they're doing don't know how to automate. They're focused and stretched where they're at, and find the people who can automate. And again, it's a small team, and start small. So perfectly imperfect is perfect. It's not, it's going to be perfectly imperfect. That's just the bottom line. The first pancake's lumpy, right? And so the thing is to do it now, though, because remember, we're 10 to 20 years ahead, where we leapfrog 10 to 20 years ahead in this space right now, this automation and online, all the stuff you're seeing, where you're a part of right now. We're doing it. That means you need to run a little bit and start, or at least go slow to go fast, but start doing it now so that in 5 years, 2 years, you're way ahead. You've got the stuff, you understand how to do it better. You got a whole nother team over here. Your revenue's like cranking up, and you've got people who are now, your business model just shifted actually. And so,
and we've built, ideally the capacity for people to lead in complexity, which is exactly what's needed right now. And I think what is impacting so many different organizations, team leaders, individuals that are trying to figure out, how do I continue to do the kind of engagement and collaboration work that was so in person, so heavily designed for in-person workshops, in-person meetings, stretched over time, especially talking about global scale convenings. They happened annually, semi-annually. Now the path to move social change challenges has shifted because the dynamics have completely shifted in how we leverage the virtual world for that. And people, if we invest now in them being able to do that in this virtual environment, which I think we have a lot of great methodologies around,
sure,
that capability is just going to help us solve the kind of problems we need solved in these moments. So
it's just another tool, and it's another revenue stream, and it's another value add you have. And if you don't do this, my concern is that somebody else is, and your value will be decreased, and you'll be out of business at some point because you didn't move. And it would be worse if you didn't do that after this coaching session and look back upon this and go, oh. I think though, the thing to do right away is to map out who you might know as an automator.
Yeah.
And start contacting them. Don't tell anybody else on your team what you're doing. This is just you as the CEO kind of doing your thing. And then you can start that up without anybody even know what's going on. And you can start doing it, and then bring them in. The thing I would say that is critical in this, while you start that up, is to create something like this, right? A live show, because what that's doing is creating, you can repurpose for social media, promoting those tools that you're going to be releasing. So you need to have that large-scale social media content distribution and promotion strategy in place across multiple platforms, particularly where young people are, because they're also have big challenges and they're thinking big. And so you just want to make sure you have a social media strategy. This right here is one of the best ways to do that, because you're creating content and then you're able to repackage and repurpose it with ease. Also those videos we talked about.
Well, and leveraging our partnerships, because we have partnerships with organizations that have massive networks with, so, you know, TechSoup and has a massive network with nonprofits all over the globe.
All those are so leverageable.
Yeah,
You have
30,000 NGOs that are all right now.
They'll start promoting it. Yeah. And that's what you want. But you got to get in on this kind of thing, because you were positioned extremely well and your personality is great. You're able to solve any problem anybody has. And I think that it would open up a whole nother channel to people where it's all kind of done behind the scenes and nobody knows what's going on with these systems change people, design thinkers. You know, they're all about, now you can bring it out. So you're like lifting the veil and making it something that everybody can become more aware of. I think there's value in that. Yeah. And anybody can use these tools on anything. You're on their household challenges or whatever it is. They're not just for business. They're not just for organizations.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
Love you.
See you later. Yeah. Wow. Well, we are in a huge transitional time period. And as we heard today, it's important to learn to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And the more this continues going, the more it's going to get uncomfortable. And so the more you can get comfortable being uncomfortable, the better off you're going to be. Also, this is a golden opportunity to take that dream, that vision, that idea, whatever it is you've had sitting around, and turn it into reality. No better time, and do it online. Find a way to do it on the internet. For those of you who've been doing things in the physical world, like myself, historically, graphically facilitating on paper, it's time to move to the internet. It's time to automate whatever you've got automated, because people are going to want it. And just because there's a lot of people out there doing these type of shows, which I've seen a number of them, doesn't mean everybody's doing them the same. Not everybody's doing them well, and not everybody's going to stick around or be able to keep going. And so you want to produce valuable content, valuable information and knowledge people can use now as they move forward in the future. All right, let's check it off. Day 23 down.
Oh, Sean.
Oh, Amy.
Once again, my friend.
I know, I forgot.
I knew you were.
Thanks for having my back. You're my huckleberry.
You're welcome.
Winner of Sean one-on-one coaching, visual coaching with me is
Jenna B.
Genevieve.
Jenna, last name B.
Jenna B. Jenna B, congratulations. We'll be reaching out, and I cannot wait to get together and help support you to move your business to the next level. I also think what I want to do here is give a couple shout outs. We got a number of people showed up today. Cheryl Mall, how are you doing? It's been a while. We got Kyla from Papua New Guinea. How are you doing today? It's so good to see you, and others that are out there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow with my insights from Sean's mom. Always good. And same PADITU time, same PADITU place. Have a great and wonderful day.
You got to never ever give up. Keep it up, keep it up. Never ever give up. Keep it up, keep it up. Never ever give up. Keep it up, keep it up. Never ever give up. Keep it up, keep it up.
Believe in yourself and you'll go far.